Out of the gates and ready to go. Welcome into this live edition of the Kansas City Chiefs Report, powered by Chad Sports. Tyler Jones, your fearless leader, here with you. So glad to have you with us, fresh and back from vacation, as we have our first live show since having the week off last week, and we are back and better than ever. Chiefs training camp in full swing. We are going to get you the latest updates from Chiefs training camp in a moment, as we have some injury news to get to. We also have a new development on Jalen Moore that we're going to talk about coming up in our first segment. In our second segment, we're going to let you hear from Chiefs head coach Andy Reid with some of his top comments from training camp, what he had to say. We'll react to it as Big Red sounds off. And then in our third segment, ESPN has put a list together of cut candidates, 5 players, notable players that they project will not make the 53-man roster. We'll tell you who those individuals are. And then we'll wrap up today's show with a Q&A rumors mailbag. Get your questions in using hashtag Chiefs or Super Chatting to get on the mailbag portion of the show. Go ahead and start submitting those questions now. The more, the merrier. And the sooner we get those questions in, the sooner we can get to the mailbag segment. As you guys file in, shout out your city. We'll shout you out as we get this show off and rolling. We're coming at you from the Chat Sports Studios here in downtown Dallas, Texas, on this very fine Tuesday afternoon. Appreciate y'all for spending your day with us here on the program. Where are you guys watching from? Tony says, will you go live, Tyler, when the Chiefs play the Cardinals pregame 1? Yeah, of course. Of course we're doing a watch party for the Cardinals game. That's next week. Next week, live right here on the Chiefs Report. Don't miss out. Got Marcos in Webb City. Paul is in Tonganoxie. Tony checking in from San Antonio. Loren is in St. Joe, the site of Chiefs training camp. Loren, have you gone to Chiefs training camp yet? Richard is in Wakini, Kansas. Got Jacob in KCK, checking in from Wyandotte. Got Chris in St. Louis. Hector is in Phoenix. I was just in Phoenix a couple days ago, Hector. What else we got? We got King Lee is in KC Mo, the Show Me State. About time, born and raised in KC Mo, but living in Brandon, Mississippi. And then Loren says, been to all of training camp but the first day, Tyler. Very cool, Loren. Hope you had a good time there at Chiefs training camp. All right, quiz time. How many all-time Chiefs defensive tackles can you name? I'm going to give you one. I will give you Chris Jones. And now it's up for you to see how many you can come up with. In your individual comment, I want to see who can come up with the most names of defensive tackles that have played for the Kansas City Chiefs. And everybody should have Chris Jones included because I've already given you that answer. So let's see who knows their Chiefs ball knowledge and can show off in the chat to see how many defensive tackles they can potentially name. Tony wants to know, Big Tex, how long should I do the Stairmaster? We'll get to that coming up momentarily. What else we got here? Got Swade checking in from Tulsa, my hometown. Living on Tulsa time. We're living on Tulsa time here on the Chiefs Report. Loren got tons of autographs. Let's see. Marcos can name one, Chris Jones, the one I gave you. Hey, that's more than anybody else has named at this point. I'll give you that, Marcos. You got that one. Who can come up with some names of all-time Chiefs defensive tackles? Chris Jones is one. Who else can you come up with? Let us know in the chat right now and test out your ball knowledge and see what you can come up with. I'm surprised I'm not seeing more guesses at this point. Tony, Paul, Loren, about time. None of y'all got any guesses on some Chiefs defensive tackles? I'm a little surprised. I didn't think this was going to be that tough of a question, but apparently it is. Let's see who can potentially come up with some names. Tony's at the gym right now. What are you working out today, Tony? All right, Loren's got 3. Chris Jones, Jerry Tillery, and Lovett. That's 3. Okay. So that's the most we've seen so far is from Loren. Can anyone top Loren? Tony's doing leg day today, and he's even putting the leg emoji in there. Loren's got 2 more, Pinnell and Lott, so that's 5 for Loren. Can anybody top Loren? We shall see. Coming up in our final segment today, we will be doing a Q&A rumors mailbag. Your chance to get screen time and ask me whatever questions are on your mind, whether it has to do with training camp, maybe it's a trade, free agency. I'm all ears. Send me as many questions as you can. Big Tex is here with us.
That's right.
Big Tex, give the fine people instructions. How can they get involved in the mailbag segment?
Of course. So, as Tyler said, it'll be our fourth segment today on our live show, Q&A Rumors Mailbag. If you have a question about the Kansas City Chiefs as it pertains to the team, free agency, a trade, a player, a coach, anything like that, ask your question using hashtag Chiefs, a space, and then your question, or the more typical way, your question first, and then a space, and then hashtag Chiefs together. And if you super chat, you get priority on the mailbag, and you get a guaranteed spot, and your question will be answered. Because if we have too many questions and you don't super chat, we can't guarantee you get on. But if you do super chat, we can guarantee. Thank you.
There you go. Get your questions in now. The more, the merrier. I want to see as many questions as possible. I think Hector's got the most names. Jones, Smith, Pinnell, Tomahali, Poet Hackett, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 for him, 5 for Loren. They're tied at 5 apiece. Hashtag Chiefs or super chat to get on the mailbag portion of today's show. We already have about 50 people in the building. I want more people to join us as we're here live talking about your Kansas City Chiefs. And the best way we can do that is by waking up the algorithm a bit. Let people know we're here, that we're live, that we're talking Chiefs football. So I need everybody over this next minute to spam C in the chat. And let's find out who's going to be the early favorite to be the MVP of today's show. Big Tex is going to shout out all the C's. So without further ado, let's get this started. Here we go. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go. Spam C.
I got Tony, Paul, Marcos Man Viking. Are you a Vikings fan? Get out of here. I'm just kidding. Tony, Chris, Paul, Tony, Loren. What's up, Loren? She named a lot of defensive tackles. Good stuff. Hector, Tony, Chris, Paul, Loren, Paul, Hector, Loren, Tony, Chris, Paul. Let's get some new names in there. Loren, Richard asking a question. Good stuff. Hector, Paul, Tony, Hector, Chris, Richard, Hector, Richard, Loren, Tony, Chris, Hector, Richard, Loren, Hector. Let's get some new names in there. Spam C for a big text shutout. Loren, Richard, Hector, Chris, Hector, Jacob, Paul, Paul, Richard, Hector. What's up, Paul? You got those noties on? Tony, Richard, Paul, Tony. We'll get you a workout question in a second. Keep spamming C. Richard, about time, says Justin Houston. I don't know what that means. Richard, Tony, Paul, Hector. Keep spamming C. Paul, Chris, America First TV, King, Paul, Chris, Paul,
Got 10 more seconds.
Tony, finish strong, keep going. Paul, Loren, Paul, Richard, Hector, Chris, Tony. What's up, Tony? Loren, Chris, Hector, Loren. 5 more seconds. Chris, Richard, Tony, Marcos, Chris, Loren.
There we
Art,
go.
good stuff.
Nice work, everybody. We're at 11 likes right now. When we get to 25, we can officially start today's program. And I will open up a cold Coors Light. The mountains are blue, so you know it's a legit Coors Light, my friends. But we need you guys to hit that like button. When you hit the like button, type me in the chat. We'll shout you out for hitting said like button. And we'll get this party started and get you everything you need to know from Chiefs training camp coming up in just a bit. But type me in the chat when you like the video. I see Richard liked it. Alexandria saying cheers. Cheers to you, Alexandria. We're at 19 now. I need about 6 more, and we'll be good to go. 25 likes, and we'll get this show started. We'll begin with our news and rumors in just a matter of moments. The latest from Chiefs training camp. I see Paul liked the video. Jacob liked the video. 4 more. 4 more. Tony says, tell my guy Harrison Graham. I said, hi, Tyler. Been sub 4 to 4 verts. Very cool. Very cool. 1 more, and we'll be good. Chris liked it as well. Paul liked it. Tony was asking you earlier, Big Tex, something about his Stairmaster.
Yes, he was asking, I believe, how long to do Stairmaster.
How long to do the Stairmaster? And we're at 25 likes now, so I'll take a drink here. I have not done a Stairmaster in quite some time.
It is a beating. It's my least favorite cardio. But to answer your question, Tony, let me hop on here with Tyler. It depends. If you're doing it for like a warm-up, which I would recommend for legs because it gets your hips nice and high while you're climbing up the stairs, I would say anywhere from 5 to 10 minutes at a speed of 3 to 5. Very low intensity. Now, if you're doing a cardio day, Tony, which we've talked about this, you should be spacing your cardio out away from your leg and upper days. It would be longer. It would be anywhere from 30 minutes to an hour. And you would probably go at a quicker pace to work on your cardiovascular health instead of strength training and warming up. Hopefully that clarifies things for you, Tony.
There you go. There you go, Tony. You good to go? You getting that workout in? You getting that workout in, Tony? Let's get to the super chat. No, what's coming up? Here we go. On today's show, we'll go over some news and rumors, everything you need to know from Chiefs training camp. Also, Andy Reid said, what? We have reaction to his most recent comments at Chiefs training camp. We'll go over some cut candidates from ESPN, and then we'll do a Q&A rumors mailbag as well. Richard saying, Tyler, even though I'm not a Jayhawk fan, I like the look of the new stadium. I do too. Richard, I like it too. I'm excited about that new stadium there in Lawrence debuting this season. Tony's on the Stairmaster watching us. Don't fall down, Tony. Be careful. Be careful. Super Chat menu. If you would like priority for the mailbag segment, your questions will get answered first if you send us a Super Chat. $sign next to the chat box. First-time Super Chatters get the KC chant. $5, do a beer cheers. $10, take some shots. $20, get bean boozled. $50, we will do a beer bong. And whoever sends in the first Super Chat of the day, I don't care if it's $1 or $50, we're going to go crazy and show you some love for being the first Super Chatter of the afternoon. Without further ado, let's go ahead and get this show started. The latest from Chiefs training camp. We have some concerning news to get to. We'll explain more coming up as we get this started here on this live edition of the Kansas City Chiefs Report, beginning right now. It was quite the day today at Chiefs training camp. Tyler Jones, your fearless leader, here with you. Thanks for joining us. We are going to get you everything you need to know from the second day of padded practices, as there was some injuries that were a bit concerning. Also, a notable position change as well. We'll tell you all about it coming up here on today's program. Before we do, folks, Joey Peterson of Ravens Rundown, he's been talking some smack. He said we can't get 1,000 comments on today's video. And I said, Joey, you're a fraud. You remind me of Steve from Blue's Clues. I'm not going to stand by this. Prove me right. Prove Joey wrong. Spam C in the chat. Let's get 1,000 comments. We haven't got 1,000 comments all month. It's almost the end of July, folks. Come on. We can do better than that. Spam C, and we'll get started with today's show. Chiefs training camp in full swing, and I got to tell you, folks, the injury list is already getting a little lengthy, and we haven't even played a live game yet with the most recent updates to tell you exactly what has gone on. Hollywood Brown went down with an ankle injury today. We'll have more on that coming up in just a moment. Xavier Worthy with a head injury as well, and we have more on that we'll talk about. Sky Moore with a hamstring. Are you noticing something, folks? What happened to all the wide receivers already? Yikes. Other injuries on the list for the Chiefs at training camp at this point include rookie linebacker Jeffrey Basso with an ankle, Christian Fulton at the corner position with a knee issue, and then 5 more for you. Darius Rush at the corner position with a hammy, Eric Scott Jr. with a hammy, Deion Bush, safety, with a hammy, Jake Brunning, still tight end, with a hammy, and then Cooper McDonald, linebacker, feeling a little ill on that front. So let's get you some details on some of these injuries that occurred today. We begin with ESPN's Nate Taylor. Congrats to Nate. Moved over from The Athletic to join the worldwide leader within the last couple days. He posted this. Hollywood Brown came up limping in the back of the end zone with what appeared to be a right lower leg injury. And then Ian Rappaport of NFL Network also providing some context on the injuries to both Hollywood and Xavier Worthy. He said Xavier Worthy, even though he had that head injury, appears to be okay, though Hollywood Brown limped off the field. And then Jeremy Bergman providing this update from Andy Reid on Hollywood, who left practice with that ankle injury. He said, I don't think it's too bad, but we'll see. Says Xavier Worthy banged his head. This is not great, my friends, that we are just a few days into padded practices and we're already talking about guys getting banged up. But there is a silver lining to all of this. It could be worse. We are not talking about anyone dealing with serious injuries at this point in time. But it is a bit alarming that we're already having this discussion of 10 players banged up before they've even played a live game. And I have some flashbacks to last season already when you talk about the wide receivers specifically getting banged up. Hollywood Brown missed most of last year. Then Xavier Worthy getting banged up. And then Sky Moore, who hasn't been healthy pretty much his entire career. That does not feel great, especially when you factor in that Rashee Rice is likely not going to be available when the season begins. A suspension likely coming. It's not ideal to start this way at this point when it comes to the injury front. What is your one-word reaction to the Chiefs' injury news? Sound off in the comments and let us know. I'll give you my one word coming up in just a bit. Folks, this is why you subscribe to the Kansas City Chiefs Report. We are all over Chiefs training camp here on the channel, bringing you daily news and rumors. We also have weekly live shows each and every Tuesday, Q&A mailbags. We're going to have watch parties on game days, including next week's matchup against the Arizona Cardinals. This is your one-stop shop for all things Kansas City Chiefs. Your Chiefs headquarters is the Kansas City Chiefs Report. Let's get at least 20 subs off today's video. Why not? Subscribe now for free. YouTube.com/ChiefsTV. My one word is concerning, all right? And here's what I mean by concerning. This is not great to be sitting here already talking about some key players getting banged up, even if they aren't serious injuries. There's no need to panic just yet. I think a lot of it is circumstantial. This was by far today the hottest day temperature-wise of training camp. I would classify a lot of these injuries that we're talking about, folks, as it's hot as shit injuries right now. I mean, I'm no doctor, okay? But your hammies are not going to fare well in these type of conditions. And some of the things we're talking about here. It is brutal what these guys are going through in St. Joe right now. And it will get better over time. They are adapting and, still getting acclimated to things. And it's not great, but this too shall pass. Other training camp notes, let's talk about Jalen Moore for a moment. We told you at the start of training camp, he was getting first-team reps at right tackle with Jawan Taylor injured. Jawan Taylor comes back, and he split first-team reps with Taylor at the right tackle position. And now he has rotated into some first-team reps at the left guard spot. And if you've been watching this show this offseason, one of the things that your fearless leader told you was that with Josh Simmons progressing so nicely at the left tackle position and Jalen Moore not having experience at the right tackle spot, and some question marks about Kingsley, although he's looked very good. I told you on this show that I think that Jalen Moore very well could be playing the left guard spot when the season begins, and now we're seeing him get some reps there, a position he has played previously. Nate Taylor writing this, another note for today, in a full team period in the red zone, Jalen Moore has entered the first-team offense at left guard in place of Kingsley. What I'm seeing is with the Kansas City Chiefs, they paid a lot of money to Jalen Moore, right? What was it, $15 million a year? And basically they're saying, hey, we really like Josh Simmons. And you can't blame them. They used a first-round pick on him, 32 overall. Had he not been injured, he could have been the first offensive lineman picked in this year's draft. So you understand why they've gone to Simmons to the left tackle spot, okay? But you're not ignoring Jalen Moore. You're still giving him every chance, every opportunity to potentially earn some playing time. Now, with that said, here's another thing I will bring up, a counterpoint. Yes, he's being paid a lot of money, but the money he's being paid is not what's going to protect Patrick Mahomes. Just because he's getting all that cash does not mean that he should be handed a starting job on a silver platter. He still has to go out there and earn it. He has chances, whether it's competing at right tackle or left guard, to potentially get in the rotation and be a starter. But you don't have to start him just because of the money that he's being paid. At the end of the day, if he ends up being the sixth offensive lineman, if he does not earn a starting role, that's actually okay. Because what that says is it is a testament to how well Simmons, Kingsley, and Jawan Taylor have performed and put things together in training camp in the preseason. That means that those guys are all playing well. Because if any of those guys are struggling, then that's Jalen Moore's opportunity to take that position and capitalize from there. But because he could end up as the sixth offensive lineman, as your swing tackle or guard, all of a sudden you have a guy that's overqualified for that, but it puts you in a position of strength where if any of those guys struggle or if there's an injury, you have somebody that's more than capable, somebody that you believe in, that you signed to be a starter, ready to go to step into that role. And it also still, I think, you look at the long-term prospects, Jawan Taylor's not going to be back next year. Maybe he earns his way to being the right tackle, the starter next season, potentially. So I don't think it's a waste to have him, even if he is your sixth offensive lineman. You make the call here on the Kansas City Chiefs Report. Should the Chiefs start Jalen Moore week one? Somewhere on the offensive line. I'm not even saying a specific spot, whether it's tackle or guard, whatever it may be. Should he start week one? You got two options here. Type Y for yes, in for no. Weigh in and tell me what you think. We have an insane deal for Chiefs fans right now. You see this cutoff hoodie? I know it's a little hot outside right now, but it is a short sleeve. And whether you're wearing it right now or you're saving it for later, you'll be thanking yourself you took advantage of this deal. At one point in time, it was $55. And I worked my magic, and we got this lowered down to $33 just for you folks. Chatsports.com/Chiefs sale. All sorts of different shapes and sizes available for you. The link is in the comments and description of today's video. We also have other Chiefs merchandise available as well. Go see for yourself now. Chatsports.com/Chiefs sale to get yours today. So at this point in time at training camp, we are 9 practices in. And you may be wondering, okay, what is the feeling about this Chiefs team right now? We went over the injury list. It's a little lengthy at this point. But in all honesty, I think this team is right where we expected them to be. The offensive line is better than what the national media gave them credit for. They look like they're coming along nicely. The defense, they're starting to figure things out. McDuffie's playing more the nickel spot that we expected him to. Travis Kelce appears to be in good shape. I think at this juncture, over a week and a half into training camp, the Chiefs are in a really good spot right now. I think there's a lot of optimism in the building about how this team looks and where they're going from here. It's great to see. The vibes are immaculate right now for the Kansas City Chiefs. Even with the concerns at the injury front, I think it's a whole lot more positive than negative right now. Thanks for joining us here on this edition of the Kansas City Chiefs Report. If you made it to the end of today's video, that means you are a real Kansas City Chiefs fan. Spam real one in the comments section. We'll see you next time here on the Kansas City Chiefs Report. All right. 1 down, 3 more to go. Let's ask you, should Jalen Moore start week 1 for the Kansas City Chiefs? Blade says yes. Hector says yes. Lee says yes. Tony saying yes. Marco saying yes. 77% of you in our poll question today going yes. 23% say no. For those of you that think he should start, what position should it be? Should it be left tackle, left guard, or right tackle? What position would you like to see Jalen Moore start on the offensive line? Weigh in and let us know. Super Chat menu. Still waiting to see who's going to send us our first Super Chat of the day. First time Super Chatters get the KC chant. $5, we'll do a beer cheers. $10, we're taking some shots. $20, get Bean Boozled. $50, we will do a beer bong. $sign next to the chat box if you'd like to contribute. Also, a reminder, our mailbag coming up at the end of today's show. Start getting in your questions now. using hashtag Chiefs or super chatting. The more questions, the better. Start sending them in right away. That way we don't have to wait around. The sooner we can get to that mailbag. I want to see everybody that's in the chat right now in the mailbag. Chris, Blades, Paul, Richard, Alexandria, get your questions in using hashtag Chiefs or super chatting, and we will answer them coming up in just a bit. Up next, we have the latest from Chiefs head coach Andy Reid, as I'll go over my 5 takeaways from what he has said throughout training camp so far at this point. We'll tell you about that. And then in our third segment, we'll go over to ESPN's list of cut candidates, and then we'll do a Q&A rumors mailbag as well. Use hashtag Chiefs or super chat to get on the mailbag portion of today's show. Without further ado, let's go ahead and get this thing started and begin our second segment starting right now. You're watching the Kansas City Chiefs Report by Chat Sports. Tyler Jones, your fearless leader, here with you. Thanks for joining us. This guy, Andy Reid, he has said a lot throughout training camp, and I have 5 takeaways from what Andy Reid has spoken about the Kansas City Chiefs in 2025 so far. We'll show you what he had to say, share our thoughts coming up in just a bit here on today's show. Let's show some love for Big Red, folks. If you believe that Andy is the best coach in the National Football League, like I do, then smash the like button on today's video. Who knows? Maybe Andy's watching or somebody close to his family. We want to make our voices heard loud and clear that we love Big Red, that we think he's the best of the best. He's in a league of his own. Hit that like button. We'll get started with today's show. Big Red sounds off. The Kansas City Chiefs head coach has talked about a number of topics in regards to your Kansas City Chiefs throughout training camp. And if you need a little catch-me-up on everything he said to this point, that's where we come in. Let's get started with Chiefs tight end Travis Kelce. Travis Kelce coming back for what many believe could be his final season in the National Football League and with the Kansas City Chiefs after what was a disappointing year in 2024. And a lot has been made about how Travis looks, what type of shape he's in 2025. And Andy Reid has taken notice as well, saying that Kelce is in great shape. Here's more from Big Red. He looks like he's 20. He's doing a good job. He's in great shape, and I'm not sure he didn't come in first during the whole conditioning thing. He was right up front. You can see he's been working out. You saw him yesterday in the long run where he had the burst. He's done a nice job. He's worked hard to get this spot. I think he's got something to prove this year. I think that Travis is playing with a chip on his shoulder, and I expect Andy to get the most out of him possible here in 2025, and I think that Travis is going to have an even better year than what he did in 2024 or in 2023 in what could be his last hoorah. But here's the deal. The bottom line is this when it comes to Travis Kelce. I know people are going to focus on the regular season and, trying to get Travis back to 1,000 yards and all that. But the reality is he is not the number one option anymore. That is Rashee Rice. And the passing game has changed where they are not trying to rely on Travis. But the idea is that Travis is a threat on any given night to go off. And the main thing that I need from Travis Kelce, I don't want him to necessarily go through the motions of the regular season, but I need him to step up when it comes to playoff time. I need playoff Trav to show up then. That's when it counts the most. We saw him flip a switch last year when they had that game against the Texans. That's what this is all about to me. I hope Travis has a big regular season, and I think he will. But most importantly, let's hope that he's not out of shape, that he's not gassed, that he's not hurt when the Chiefs are trying to compete for a championship. The most important thing is how he looks in December, January, and February as far as that goes. Do you believe in Travis Kelce? Is this going to be a big year for Trav? It's our pinned comment today. You got 2 options here. Type B for believe, D for don't. You might get an ad break while the ad's playing. Get your votes in. Let us know what you think. Number 2 on takeaways from Andy Reid. He is seeing some progress in Josh Simmons, but it is still a work in progress. Simmons seems to be well on track to be the Chiefs' starting left tackle, as we have not seen Jalen Moore get first-team reps, and he's been holding his own so far to this point, the first-round pick out of Ohio State, protecting Patrick Mahomes' blind side. And Andy had this to say on Josh Simmons, kind of keeping expectations real. Yeah, he's done some good things. I wasn't just focusing on him the whole time, but I thought he did some good things. He's got, he's going to be a work in progress. Keep working and cranking on it, young guy. Simmons has been awesome. And, he got into it with this fellow rookie, Ashton Gelati, the other day with a little training camp fight between the two of them. And I don't mind training camp fights, to be honest. I think that shows that you care and shows some passion and some intensity. But to kind of add to Andy's point, not everything's going to be perfect. There is going to be some growing pains at times. This is a tall task. You don't see too many rookies getting the chance to be a starting left tackle, let alone for a championship caliber team like the Kansas City Chiefs that have the best quarterback in football, that have won 3 Super Bowls in this Mahomes era. This is a big stage, and things will not always be perfect, but if you give this time, I think it's a bet that will pay off mightily for Kansas City here going forward from here. Folks, want to make sure you're subscribed to the Kansas City Chiefs Report as we're covering training camp like no one else is, with our daily news and rumors, live shows each and every Tuesday, breaking news, Q&A mailbags, and more. We got you covered each and every day on the channel, and we want to make sure you're subscribed. That way, if anything happens, you are the first to know about it here on the channel. Best part about it, doesn't cost you a thing. 100% free. YouTube.com/ChiefsTV. Subscribe now. You'll be glad you did. One of the players that has been much talked about this offseason is Tyquan Thornton, the former Baylor Bear who was a high draft pick by the New England Patriots, getting a second chance after a disappointing run in New England. And there's been a lot of discussion about him potentially cracking the 53-man roster with as well as he's looked at this point in time. And Andy Reid is saying, look, he's done a good job, but he still has more work to do if he potentially wants to earn a spot. More from Big Red. I like what I've seen. He's working hard. He's made some big catches, working his routes, playing physical in his transition game. He's just got to keep coming. We're still early in this thing here. I think, honestly, he can make the team at this point. I think the Chiefs are likely to carry 7 receivers on the active roster when the season begins. And so then you look at the guys he's competing with, Nico, Sky Moore. I think that it seems pretty likely that the Chiefs are probably going to be done with Sky Moore. And Nico, of course, can help out in the special teams end of things. Tyquan Thornton can help out there as well. If he does what he's supposed to do, if he continues with how he's looked so far from the offseason program and into training camp, and then show up in the preseason, then I think there's a spot for Tyquan Thornton. And with the uncertainty going into 2025, with Rashee Rice likely to get suspended here, and then you look at the other pieces, we don't know what to expect from Hollywood Brown. Juju's gotten older here. Tyquan Thornton not only could make the team, he could play a key role in this offense if he continues to do what he's been doing over the last couple of months. I like what I've seen, and let's see if he can keep it up. Will Tyquan Thornton make the Chiefs' 53-man roster? Predict it for me in the comment section. Y for yes, N for no. Weigh in and tell us if you think he'll make the roster or not. Now, one thing that's pretty interesting hearing from Big Red is the sense of urgency. And you always wonder, with a team that has won as much as the Kansas City Chiefs have, how can this team stay motivated? Especially when your core players have been around for multiple championships now. When you're talking about Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce and Isaiah Pacheco and Chris Jones, Trent McDuffie, George Karlaftis, they've been there, done that before. Up until the Super Bowl last year, the rookie classes of 2022 and beyond had never even lost a playoff game. So how do you, in training camp, get these guys to buy in and have that excitement to put in the work each and every day when you pretty much well know you're going to be in the playoffs, you're going to compete for a championship? How do you stay motivated? Well, Andy stressing a sense of urgency with his training camp expectations. He said this, yeah, main thing is urgency. You know the urgency. You just keep that up. Everybody's expectations are high amongst the team, amongst everybody around. So, but it comes down to the work that you can take care of here and the foundation that you build here. Andy knows what he's doing. All right? I mean, one of the things I think that makes Andy so special is not only is he a great offensive mind, arguably the greatest offensive mind that we've seen in this game, that is such a well-rounded head coach, but even at his age and everything that he's got going on, he knows how to get these guys' attention. So many times we've seen Andy just say the right thing. And one of the things I love about Andy is he doesn't act like a college coach. He treats these guys like grown men, but he still knows what to say and what to do to motivate and push these guys and separate from being their friend to being their coach. And I have no concern that Andy's going to have this team in the right mindset. I think they're already there. And I like hearing that from Andy that, hey, this is what we're stressing. This is what we're talking about. This is what's important to us right here and right now. Speaking of 2025, how are things going to shake out for the Kansas City Chiefs? Predict their record this season. They went 15-2 last year. Can they do it again? Let us know what you think the Chiefs' record will be this upcoming year. Weigh in and let us know in the comments section below what exactly that is. All right, last on the list of takeaways from Big Red, he talked about Kareem Hunt. We have not heard much about Kareem this offseason. He re-signed back in March, and you got Pacheco supposedly up to full strength again, back to his old self. He should be at full strength in his old RB1 role. And then you got other running backs. You got Kareem Hunt there. You got Elijah Mitchell. You got Brashard Smith. Carson Steele is still around as well. And so then you have to wonder, okay, where does Kareem Hunt fit into all of this? How much mileage does he have left on the tires? How much tread is still there at this point in his career? Well, something that Andy brought up that I think is a fascinating point that I think people forget about is that because of some of the injuries and other things that have occurred the last couple of years, he hasn't really had a true offseason in a while, and now he's had that chance to actually take it all in and go through that proper process to get ready for the upcoming season, and he's stepping up, according to Andy Reid. Here's more. He's had an offseason. He missed 2 offseasons. He had this offseason. He's worked hard. Now he's coming into training camp. He's in good shape, and I expect good things. He'll be in there rotating and doing his thing. He's a good, solid football player. Love having him here. I would say this. Don't sleep on Kareem Hunt. All right? I expect Kareem to be mostly used in short yardage, 3rd and 4th down situations as kind of your power back of sorts. One of the things I liked that I saw from Kareem last year, even though he didn't have any big runs downfield, he still showed acceleration and burst at the line of scrimmage. And if he can do that again, that will go a long ways. I don't have to have him be my lead tailback in this offense. But if there are days where he's got the hot hand and something is right with Kareem, I have no problem with him getting the majority of the carries. He can play a significant role in this offense, and I think he will, folks. And I'm excited that Kareem Hunt is back to do it all again. If you enjoyed today's show, you already know what to do. Hit that like button. Show some love to Andy Reid. We'd appreciate it. I'm Tyler Jones. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you next time. All right. 2 down, halfway home. Yes. Yes. Up next, we will talk cut candidates courtesy of ESPN. Do you believe in Travis Kelce? B for believe, D for don't. We do have some super chats to pay off here in just a moment. Type B for believe, D for don't. Weigh in and let us know in the chat. And I see everybody's typing B for believe. Everybody's all in on Travis Kelce. Here is the super chat menu, by the way. First-time Super Chatters get the KC chant. $5 will do a beer cheers. $10 take some shots. $20 get bean boozled. $50 will do a beer bong. And if you send in a Super Chat, you will get priority in the mailbag segment that we'll do coming up in the final segment. Gabe with a $10 Super Chat. That's a shot. I have some vodka right here in my KU cup, so I'll take a shot for you, Gabe. Cheers. Ooh. Thank you, Gabe. Gabe says, football season's so close. Congrats on your recent success. Thank you, Gabe. Much appreciated. What can we expect the plan to be when Rasheed is suspended? They're going to rely heavily on Xavier Worthy. They're going to need Travis, Noah Gray. Those guys all step up. Next man up, I think it's a big opportunity for Jalen Royals as well when Rasheed is out. And I expect him to be out probably 4 to 6 games as far as that goes. But, Gabe, thanks for that Super Chat. We'll include that in the mailbag. Shad says, with a $2 Super Chat, will McDuffie get highest paid cornerback contract? I don't know. I don't know if he will or not. I think that he'll make a strong case for it. I think that's what he'll want to get paid. But he will get paid a handsome amount. I think the big argument is going to be guaranteed money. I think he's going to want a lot of guaranteed money. I think that might be more important to him than being the highest paid corner in the league. But, Shad, thanks for that $2 Super Chat there. And we appreciate you for sending that in. Then Shad had another Super Chat. Yes, 3 good mailbag questions. Would you re-sign all of the 2022 draft class? Okay, well, let's pull up the Chiefs draft class. You already have a new deal for George Karlaftis. We already know that. Okay, so you go back and look at the 22 draft class. Well, the answer is no, because you're not re-signing Sky Moore. But McDuffie, yes. Karlaftis, yes. Brian Cook, yes. Leo, yes. Josh Williams, no. I think he could get caught. More on that in a moment. Pacheco, probably not. Najee Johnson, probably not. So, no, I would not re-sign all the 22 draft class. I think maybe about half of them potentially could get re-signed as far as that goes. But still, very good numbers. Good return on investment to have that many players you're talking about potentially re-signing there. Up next, let's talk cut candidates courtesy of ESPN. 5 players that they project will not make the 53-man roster. Some notable players we'll get to. And then we'll do our mailbag. Use hashtag Chiefs or Super Chat to get on the mailbag portion of today's show. Start getting in your questions now. Rated Dog says, wow, the disrespect to Pacheco. I mean, are we for real here? Did we not watch the same season? I mean, what you should be doing with Pacheco is run him into the ground this year, maybe sign a 1-year deal, maybe, but not a long-term deal. It all depends on how he plays. If he plays well, then maybe you give him a 1-year deal. If not, you let him go and you replace him with somebody younger. And I think Brashard Smith might be that long-term solution they're looking for. I'll have more on that coming up in our mailbag. Let's go and get started. Segment 3, talking Chiefs cut candidates. Let's continue here on this live edition of the Chiefs Report. Segment 3 begins right now. Here we go. Welcome in to this edition of the Kansas City Chiefs Report, powered by Chat Sports. Tyler Jones, your fearless leader, here with you. Thanks for joining us. ESPN, the worldwide leader in sports, has put together their 53-man roster projection for your Kansas City Chiefs. And on today's show, we're going to go over 5 notable players that ESPN says are going to get cut, that will not make the final roster. We'll tell you who those 5 individuals are and go over the cap savings in just a bit. Before we do, our friends or our frenemies, however you want to call them, over at Bill's Breakdown, Moose and the gang, they challenged us. They said there's no way you guys can get 50 subs off today's video. I said, Moose, you call yourself Moose, for crying out loud, all right? You're with the Bills Mafia, all right? I don't want to hear it from you, man. We can do it. We can prove them wrong. Subscribe now for daily Kansas City Chiefs coverage, news and rumors. We also have live shows each and every week, breaking news, Q&A mailbags, and more. Best part about it, 100% free. Let's get 50 subs off today's video. Prove them wrong. YouTube.com/ChiefsTV. Who's in? Who's out? On today's show, we will go over the 5 names that ESPN is projecting will not make the 53-man roster for the Kansas City Chiefs. And we begin with none other than Joshua Williams at the corner position. Joshua Williams, I'll put it this way, folks. He is being paid way too much. And I know the saying about talking about another man's wallet and all that. But let's just be frank. $3.4 million for what you're getting out of Joshua Williams is just absurd. The only way I would consider bringing back Joshua Williams for the role that he's playing is if he is willing to take a pay cut. If you're the Kansas City Chiefs, you don't have a ton of cash to spend right now. You cannot justify that type of money for this production. All right? Look at that right there. See how far I can extend my arm. Oh, my arm's gone. No, you can't justify it. You simply can't. Joshua Williams, unless he's willing to take a pay cut, he has got to go. Because here's the reality. You don't need him at this point. Look at who the Chiefs have at corner. McDuffie, Watson, Fulton, Noah Williams. I could keep going. I can't afford to pay Joshua Williams $3.4 million. If he wants to stay, take a pay cut or get out of town. Simple as that. Should the Chiefs cut Joshua Williams? You're in charge. It's our pin comment today. Might get an ad break while the ad's playing. Get your votes in. C for cut, K for keep. Up to you, Josh. You want to be a part of a championship team? Take less money. Simple as that. Up next, Cam Jones. Who? Cam Jones is our next cut candidate that the folks at ESPN is projecting the Chiefs move on from. The Chiefs can save over $1 million by moving on from Cam Jones. And Cam Jones, I know he played in all 17 games last year, mostly as a special teams guy, but he didn't really do all that much for Kansas City with just 19 tackles, 1 QB hit. And when you look at this roster at the linebacker position, I think this is a sneaky good group for the Kansas City Chiefs that doesn't get enough credit. You brought back Nick Bolton. You got Leo. You got Drew. I'm very high on Jeffrey Bassa. There's better options on this team than Cam Jones at this point. You do not have to be content with Cam Jones. And I think, to put it in the simplest of terms for my friends out there, folks, is that this is not about money. I don't have a problem with paying Cam Jones that chunk of cash. And this is not about saving $1.03 million. This is about saving the roster spot and using it for something better. And I think that not only do they have better options than him at the linebacker position, but they also have better ways they can use that roster spot instead of wasting it on Cam Jones. This one, folks, I think a lot of people are actually going to like this. Sky Moore is out of here. The 2022 second-round pick. His time finally comes to an end. And I think that's the key word the Chiefs fans are saying to themselves, finally. I love Brett Veach, best GM in football. He's done a phenomenal job with this organization. And I don't think he gets enough credit because think about the hand he was dealt when this team was in salary cap hell when he took over for John Dorsey and what this organization has become, right? Well, one of his biggest mistakes, maybe his very worst draft pick, was Sky Moore. And you move on from Sky Moore, you save 1.58, but it's the roster spot here. I mean, it has been abysmal for Sky Moore. When he's been on the football field, he hasn't been good. He's had struggles staying healthy. I mean, it's just been all bad for Sky Moore. There's nothing you can say positively. And the thing about Sky Moore, I think that's the most frustrating. It's not a lack of opportunity. It's not a lack of chances that he's had to prove himself. Believe me, the Chiefs have wanted Sky Moore to play a significant role and given him every chance. But he hasn't done shit. It's time. It's time. And I look at some of these other guys that are there competing for that spot. Nako's a hell of a lot better. Tyquan Thornton's looked very good. in training camp to this point. It's time to count your losses and move on from Sky Moore. You're not going to get every draft pick right. That's just the nature of the business. But Sky Moore, hate to say it in this way, but it's got to go. It's time. Should the Chiefs release Sky Moore, your chance to be the GM here on the Kansas City Chiefs Report. Type Y for yes, in for no, weigh in, and tell us what you think. Up next is Robert Tonyan at the tight end position, the much talked about player in Chiefs training camp who has looked very good and has been one of the standouts to this point. The former Green Bay Packer, you move on from him, you're saving just over $1 million against the cap. I'll say this. I like what I've seen from Robert Tonyan in the offseason program and into training camp. All of those things were very good. But the reality is Robert Tonyan is 31 years old. And I think what the Chiefs are going to be asking themselves with Robert Tonyan is he fooling us? Is the version that we've seen the last couple of months, is that the legit Robert Tonyan? Or when the lights actually come on in meaningful action when he's playing first-team defenses, is he going to be that guy there? There we go. Finger. There we go. That didn't do anything last year. He's got work to do. I think one could argue that the preseason for Robert Tonyan is more important for him than about any other player. Because here's what the Chiefs have to ask themselves, all right? Robert Tonyan has got to show up in the preseason, number one. And then number two, do you want to carry 4 tight ends? Because obviously you're not getting rid of Kelsey, Gray, or Wiley. And then is Tonyan worth taking a roster spot from another position to go with 4 tight ends? That's a tough call the Chiefs have to ask themselves. We'll see. We got one more cut candidate from ESPN to get to in a moment, but first, I have an insane deal, my friends, as these Chiefs cutoff hoodies are on sale. Now, at one point, they were 55 Benjamins. Now they're only 33. I know it's hot, but this is short sleeve. And you'll be thanking yourself later when you get this thing. Chatsports.com/Chiefs sale to get yours today. Link is in the comments and description of today's video. All sorts of different shapes and sizes to your liking. And we also have other Chiefs merchandise at that same link. Go see for yourself now. Chatsports.com/Chiefs sale to get yours today. Last on the list is Chris Roland Wallace at the corner position. It would appear that his days are likely numbered. You're not saving a ton by moving on from Roland Wallace, just about $960,000 for a player that played in all 17 games. And I think when it comes to Roland Wallace, he's one of these players that, you know, we talk about these cut candidates and we see some flaws, right? I see flaws in Sky Moore and, you know, Joshua Williams and some of these others here. I actually don't think Chris Roland Wallace is a bad football player. He's just not good enough for the Kansas City Chiefs. When I'm talking about all those corners we mentioned earlier and guys like Jamari Connor, there's just not room. It's a good problem to have. You have depth at this corner position that you did not have in 2024. I'll say this. The silver lining for Chris Roland Wallace, I don't think he's going to be unemployed very long. I don't even think that he goes to the practice squad. I think he signs somewhere else and ends up on another team's active roster. He's too good not to make somebody's roster, but he's not good enough for the Kansas City Chiefs. So, Chris Roland Wallace, happy trails. Best of luck to you. Everybody wave. Everybody wave goodbye. Chris Roland Wallace. I like him. Good story. But Kansas City can do better than Chris Roland Wallace at this point. I think that he'll get a chance elsewhere, and I expect him to still have a decent career, just not in Kansas City at this point. It's a good problem to have. Thanks for joining us here on this edition of the Kansas City Chiefs Report. If you haven't already, what are you waiting for? You got to subscribe to the channel as we bring you the latest happenings throughout all of training camp here on the channel. YouTube.com/ChiefsTV. It is 100% free. Doesn't cost you a thing. And whether we're talking training camp updates here on the channel Maybe we're giving you news and rumors, whatever it may be. We're going to cover every single detail that you need to know throughout training camp and the coming weeks ahead. Lock us in because we're in for quite the ride here in the Kansas City Chiefs Report as we're just getting started. Not to mention, we got watch parties coming up very soon as well, including that game against the Cardinals week 1 in just a few days from right now. YouTube.com/ChiefsTV to subscribe now for free. I'm Tyler Jones. Thanks for joining us. We shall see you next time right here on the Kansas City Chiefs Report. All right. There we go. 3 down, 1 to go. Tony says he subbed on his dad's laptop. All right. Good for Dad. Good for Dad. So, should the Chiefs release Sky Moore? Why for yes, in for no. Tony says yes. Paul says yes. Mailbag coming up in just a bit. Tex, why don't you remind the folks how they can get involved in the mail sack? We will do that here in a moment.
Right.
And I'm seeing everybody says they should cut Sky Moore. Mailbag in a moment. I need at least 2 or 3 more questions. Use hashtag Chiefs or Super Chat to get on the mailbag. Pick text. How can people get on the mailbag segment?
Great question. So, if you have a question about the Kansas City Chiefs, pertains to the team, free agency, trade, whatever, ask
Training camp.
Training camp, good looks. Or if you want to talk about the beginning preseason games or something like that, use hashtag Chiefs, a space, and then your question, or the more typical way, which is the question first, a space, and then hashtag Chiefs together. The critical thing is hashtag Chiefs has to be together and separated away from your question. And if you super chat, you get priority and a guaranteed spot on the mailbag, and your question will definitely get answered. We can't guarantee it unless you super chat it, so keep that in mind. Thank you.
There you go. Need about 2 or 3 more questions. Isha, Richard, Aoki, Paul, get your questions in. Hashtag Chiefs or Super Chat. I'll wait for about 2 or 3 more questions, and then we should be good to go to start this mailbag segment. You guys did a good job sending in Super Chats, so we'll answer Super Chats first. Speaking of which, we go to the Super Chat menu, too. You guys can Super Chat us using hashtag Chiefs, or you can get in the mailbag using hashtag Chiefs or Super Chatting. First time Super Chatters get the KC chant. $5 to do a beer cheers. $10 take some shots. $20 get Bean Boozled. $50 we will do a beer bong. When we drink, we score. We drink, we win, my friends. $sign next to the chat box if you would like to contribute. Still waiting on a few more questions. Tony says, come on, guys. Why do we do this? Don't make Tyler wait. You got this. Yes. I have places to be. I have things to do, folks. So please, do not make me wait on mailbag questions. I don't got all day. I would like to go home and take a nap. But I need you guys to send in questions. Bill, I know he got a mailbag question in. Aoki, how many damn times? Hashtag Chiefs, not hashtag do. Come on. Aoki, try again. You didn't even say roster right. You said 53-man toaster. The 53-man toaster? I do not think he's going to make the 53-man toaster. I need about 2 or 3 more questions. And then we'll be good to go. Poll question, should Jalen Moore start week 1? 74% of you going yes. 26% going no. Tony's encouraging Aoki. He's saying, it's okay. You got this. Try again. Bill, yes, you got a question in. Hashtag Chiefs or Super Chat. Bill. Richard got a question in. Very good. I'll wait a couple more seconds. Need about 2 or 3 more. And we'll answer them. Whatever's on your mind, send it my way, my friends. Hashtag Chiefs or Super Chat. Tony, is my question good, Tyler? Tony, I don't even know what your question is. Okay. Yeah, that's fine. Okay. There we go. We get questions. Now we're good. All right, final segment. We'll do this, and then we shall get out of here, my friends. Yes, sir. All right, without further ado, let's do our mailbag and wrap up here in this live edition of the Kansas City Chiefs Report beginning right now. Here we go. It is time to touch our bags and drop our sacks on this mailbag edition of the Kansas City Chiefs Report. Tyler Jones here with you. Thanks for joining us. All sorts of questions this week. I've seen you guys asking me about some trades, potentially for Micah Parsons, Jalen Polk. Also, a lot of talk about training camp and more. We'll get to everything you need to know coming up here on today's show. Let's begin with a $10 super chat from Gabe. Gabe writes, football season so close. Congrats on your recent success. Thank you, Gabe. What can we expect the plan to be when Rasheed is suspended? Very good question. I think the plan is that Xavier Worthy is going to be that guy. He is going to get the majority of the targets. I think they're just going to ask more of everybody, from Travis to Noah Gray to Hollywood, Jalen Royals. Everybody's just got to step up. Just get through that 4 to 6 games, whatever it is. At the time of this recording, we don't know just yet. Haven't seen an official suspension come down at this point, but I think that's what we're looking at is just everybody's got to step up, just get through that, and then be ready to go when Rasheed comes back. And I think that they can handle it, and they'll be just fine. Shad with a $2 super chat writes in, will McDuffie get highest paid cornerback contract? I don't know if the goal necessarily is for him to be the highest paid corner. I think he would like to be. But I think if it's a priority for Trent McDuffie, it's probably the guaranteed money that he's more focused on, is making sure he gets that bag secured with the majority of that contract. I think that's going to be what his focus is. He will be one of the highest paid corners in football. But as far as what he's going in there for, I think the focus is on that guaranteed money, and I expect him to get a lot of guaranteed money. And I think that we'll get a deal here done pretty soon, probably before the season even begins, with the way the cornerback market has gone, with Sauce Gardner and Derek Stingley getting paid. I don't think the Chiefs want to risk waiting too long to pay Trent McDuffie and seeing his price tag jump up even further. Shad with another super chat. Would you re-sign all of KC's 2022 draft class? All right, let's go over the 2022 draft class piece by piece. All right, the answer is no, by the way. And some of the guys don't even play here anymore from the 2022 draft class. So you can't re-sign all those guys. But with that said, let's just go through them piece by piece. McDuffie, yes. Karlaftis, you've already done that. Sky Moore, hell no. He might be cut in a couple weeks. Brian Cook, yes. Leo Chanel, yes. Joshua Williams, no. He might get cut in a couple weeks. Jalen Watson, we'll see. I think there's a chance that it's a short-term deal with Jalen Watson, or maybe they do like a sign-and trade type of deal next offseason with the franchise tag or something like that. Pacheco, maybe a short-term deal, but I think the goal with Pacheco should be run him into the ground this year as much as possible, and then either you sign him to a short-term deal or you replace him with a younger, cheaper, fresher running back. And then Najee Johnson, no. So short answer, no. Long answer, about half those guys I would consider. Folks, want to make sure not only that you are subscribed to the Kansas City Chiefs Report, but you're part of what we call the Noti Gang around here. Those are the folks that have their notifications turned on. They're the first to know when we have new content here on the channel as we bring you the latest happenings around training camp. We got watch parties starting here pretty soon for the Chiefs preseason games. We're going to be live for almost every game this season. Breaking news, Q&A mailbags, and more. Maybe you want to be a part of our next mailbag segment. Well, if you turn on notifications, you'll be the first to know when we go live and bring you a mailbag here on the channel. Subscribe now for free, youtube.com/ChiefsTV. Turn on notifications. Hit that Noti bell. If you're part of the Noti Gang, spam Noti Gang in the comments section. We appreciate you all. Subscribe now. Turn on notifications. You'll be glad you did. Tony, you're in the mailbag. You're in the mailbag, Tony. You're in the mailbag, Tony. Tyler, for the first week of training camp, who are your winners and lovers? I think he means losers. Love is dead. I found out the hard way in Phoenix last week. Um, winners and losers from training camp. Big winner, Josh Simmons. I'd say Jalen Moore, even though he hasn't won a job yet, just the fact that he's getting first-team reps at multiple positions, he's a winner. Travis Kelce coming in good shape, he's a winner. Let's see, some other winners from training camp to this point. I'll go McDuffie. I like him playing the nickel spot again. That seems to make more sense. Losers, Jawan Taylor. Got banged up, and then he is now competing for his job, despite all that money he's being paid. Hollywood Brown getting banged up. Hollywood, can you stay healthy? I know it was a minor injury, but still. Those are the ones that are off the top of my head when it comes to winners and lovers in Chiefs training camp at this point. Thank you, Tony. Diehard fan, Fearless Leader. Hello, sir. Salute to you. Could you see the Chiefs trading for Micah Parsons? Well, at the time of this recording, Micah Parsons is still a member of the Dallas Cowboys and does not have a new contract. And Micah Parsons is expecting to get paid a handsome sum of money to likely be the highest paid edge rusher, maybe even the highest paid non-quarterback in all of football. And can you blame him with his production? 13 sacks in 2021, 13 and a half in 2022, 14 in 2023, 12 in 2024. He has been awesome, really since day one with the Dallas Cowboys. And might I add, he is only 26 years old. One could argue his best football is still in front of him, folks. With that said, Micah will not come cheap. He will require a lot of draft capital to make a trade. And I don't think the Chiefs can afford him, and I don't think they want to give up that much draft capital. Would Micah make the Chiefs better? In the short term, yes, but there would be long-term ramifications for pulling off something like that. I don't think that the Chiefs are going to be trading for Micah Parsons, and that would be out of the ordinary. That would be unorthodox for the Chiefs to make that type of trade for Micah Parsons. I just don't see it happening. Put your GM hat on. Should the Chiefs trade for Micah Parsons? It's our pinned comment today. Got two options. Type T for trade, P for pass. You might get an ad break while the ad's playing. Get your votes in. Let us know if they should trade for Parsons or not. Marcos, man, Vikings 18. Are you a Vikings fan, Marcos? What's your prediction, Chiefs or Cardinals? It's a preseason game. Who cares? Chiefs, I guess. Sure. I really do not care about the final score. Nor should you care about the final score unless you're betting on it, unless you're wagering. Which, if you're wagering on preseason games, you probably have a problem. You're probably a degenerate of sorts. But Chiefs, sure. Okay. Next question. Pete is wild. Pete Carroll, 70-year-old man and going shirtless. He might enjoy himself in Barcelona on the beaches there. Could the Chiefs trade for Jalen Polk? So this one is a bit odd to me. There's been rumblings that the Patriots, even though he's only been there a year, could already be looking to move on from Jalen Polk. I liked Polk coming out of Washington. That was a talented offense there. When you had Michael Penix at quarterback, Rome Odunze at wideout, Jalen Polk was there. They had some dogs. They won a college football playoff game, beat Texas, won the Pac-12, beat Oregon, not once but twice that year. Played for a national championship against Michigan. That offense was fantastic. That defense was awful. That was probably the best team Kalen DeBoer is ever going to have. And Jalen Polk was a big part of it, even though there was a lot of attention on Rome Odunze. I think Polk's a good player. I don't know why he wasn't utilized more in New England. Kind of odd that he played in 15 games and only had 12 catches. But if he's on the trade market and it only costs me like a 6th or 7th round pick, I'd be very intrigued, actually, to give Jalen Polk a chance. I mean, is Jalen Polk better than Nico and Sky Moore and Tyquan Thornton? I think so. I don't hate it. All depends on what it's going to take to potentially bring him in. But if he's on the trade market, I'd be open to that possibility. Sound off. Should the Chiefs trade for Jalen Polk? Life for yes, in for no. He's on a cheap rookie contract, too. That always is nice. Tell me in the comments section what you think. Bell writes in, how much longer will Andy Reid be the coach of the Chiefs? As long as he wants to be. You know, one thing I get irritated with, and this is not so much Chiefs fans, this is more so people outside of the Chiefs kingdom. People think that Andy's going to retire sometime soon because he's fat. I'm dead serious. I'm not joking here. There are people out there that look at Andy and say, yeah, he's a fat ass that loves cheeseburgers, and his health isn't going to hold up, and then he's not going to be coaching much longer. And I'll say this. Is Andy a fat ass? Yeah. I mean, just being real. But have we heard about any health issues with Andy? No. He's a happy fat ass. Life is going good for him. I mean, have we heard about cholesterol issues? Have we heard about Andy, struggling to carry his weight? Not one bit. Not one iota have we heard about those issues. Would it help Andy if he probably dropped a few lbs? Yeah. That'd be good for his long-term health. I'm sure his grandkids would probably appreciate it. He's got a lot of grandkids. Mormon family. You guys know how that goes. But, I mean, I'm just not buying that. I think Andy's probably going to coach 5 more years. And that's all depending on if he wants to. Now, there could come a time, maybe it's this year or next, they win the Super Bowl, and he's like, I want to go out on top. I'm satisfied. But it's not going to be because he's eating cheeseburgers all the time and doing that thing. All right? Let's squash that narrative right now. Andy's going to coach as long as he wants to, and it's not going to be because of a health concern. It's going to come down to how much he's motivated, how much he wants to do this. And, if you're Andy, I'll put it in the simplest of terms for you. You get to go out there and you get to coach a generational quarterback in Patrick Mahomes. And you got this dynasty going. Even if he has some high cholesterol or something, why would you want to walk away from that? I mean, seriously. Andy's fine. Don't worry about Andy. Shad writes in, last question. Which defensive unit is strongest for KC? Very good question. I would not have answered this a year ago. I think it's the corner spot. Duffy's an all-pro. Fulton's a quality starter. Watson's a quality starter. Noah Williams, I feel pretty optimistic about his future. I mean, you're so stacked that you're going to be moving on from guys that will get picked up elsewhere. Joshua Williams, Chris Rowland Wallace. I don't think Jabari Connor's bad. I like how they're looking at the corner position right now. I think that's a position of strength. For continuing coverage, subscribe now to the Kansas City Chiefs Report, youtube.com/ChiefsTV. Turn on notifications so you never miss a moment. I'm Tyler Jones. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you next time. All right. Yes, Andy Reid is a fat ass, but he's our fat ass, damn it. I don't think I said anything that wasn't true, Tex.
You may have said it bluntly, but you didn't speak any non-truths.
I wasn't trying to be insulting.
No, I don't think so. I think you were just being cut and dry about it. You're just saying how it is. He is a large man. He has been since he was a kid, and
I mean, Tex, you can live a long life as a fat man.
True. On the other argument, then at the end, is there a ton of fat old people? The answer is no. Which is kind of concerning because I don't want Andy Reid to die from a health-related issue. So, like you said, I think he could benefit, and his grandchildren, too, could benefit from him maybe losing a few lbs. And maybe he will after he retires. Maybe he'll clean it up and trim down. Yeah, who knows?
Maybe so. All right, we'll get out of here. Maybe I'll be like Andy and go find myself a cheeseburger. Appreciate you joining us. Subscribe to the channel for continuing Chiefs coverage, youtube.com/ChiefsTV. For Big Tex, I'm Tyler Jones. Thanks for joining us. Have a great night, everybody. So long.